Hey everybody, it's Coach Pete with academicrecruits.com coming to you today to discuss a critical piece of the recruiting process, and that's choosing the right AAU team. I think the first point that we need to mention is the common perception that in order to be recruited, you need to get with a high-profile AAU team that features high-profile players. That can be a major advantage, certainly, because those programs have relationships and credibility in the world of college coaches that an upstart program no one's ever heard of doesn't have. That having been said, when college coaches come into the gym to watch you play, they need to watch you play. They don't need to watch you sit on the bench. So my advice is, when considering the AAU team to join, find a team that's going to feature you. If you play on a high-profile team with a shoe contract and you get 6 minutes a game and a shot and a half a night, that's not going to do you much good in terms of attracting college coaches' interest. If, on the other hand, you play with a lesser-known team and get 25 minutes a game and maybe get 10, 12 shots and are able to really demonstrate your effectiveness and ability as a basketball player, I think you're going to be much better off. And of course, you might ask the question, if I'm with a team no one's ever heard of, I'm with a brand new team, how do I get the word out there to college coaches that I'm available? And in today's day and age with the internet, not just us, academicrecruits.com, that's what we do. We help kids get their name out there to college coaches. But there are tons of resources on the internet, many of them free. We're affordable, and for free and reduced lunch kids, we give our service away for free. And there are a lot of other ones out there that are free as well. BeRecruiter.com has a lot of features that are free. So when choosing an AAU team, I would say if you have to pick between, in an ideal world, you'll be a featured player on a high-profile team. But that's not the case for every kid. So if choosing between featured versus high profile, I think you absolutely should go with featured. Okay, I think that's critically important, especially if you're willing to do the work and be proactive and get your name out there to college coaches and pique their interest and invite them to come see you play. Now, let's say that you haven't already chosen a team and you're looking at teams and you're looking for a team to be featured on. I think that it's important to negotiate. You can absolutely, parents, I'm talking to you, you can absolutely negotiate a deal with an AAU program to say, hey, I'm joining your team, I'm paying you a lot of money, what do I get for that? And I think it's reasonable, if you negotiate ahead of time, to lay out exactly what your expectations are playing time-wise, and then making sure that the AAU program in question sticks to it, if you do it ahead of time. Now, let's say that you've already signed up with potentially the wrong AAU team. That is to say, you're on a squad, you're not featured, you're not playing much, you're not getting very many shots, and you're not getting a whole lot of attention from college coaches. What can you do when you're on the wrong team? Well, one thing to consider is you could switch teams. A lot of kids do, particularly in the period in the middle of July, between July 15th and 21st, when it gets started back up again. And that's something I think certainly that you should potentially look at if it looks like the situation with your team is irreconcilable. That is to say, you're buried behind players who the coach believes are better than you and who are getting a lot of college attention, and you're just not in a situation where you're going to be able to demonstrate your talents and skills to college coaches. I think switching teams is a viable option. Now, what if switching teams is not an option in your case because maybe you already wrote a check for the whole month of July and you can't afford to write a second check? Well, a couple pieces of advice I think that are important to consider. One, and I'm talking to you as a recruit, take ownership of your own life. Be aggressive out there. You're playing 6 minutes, 7 minutes a night. For goodness sakes, don't just be a guy who reverses the ball and plays hard. If you catch the basketball and you're getting limited playing time, and you catch the basketball and you're open and you're a good shooter, you should shoot it. Not sometimes, but every time. Every time you're open, if you're getting limited playing time and it's a good shot, shoot it if you're a shooter. If you're a good playmaker, every time you catch the ball, you should be looking to be assertive. You should be looking to get to the basket. You should be looking to make plays for yourself and other people. And it's important to say that it's not about being selfish, it's about being assertive. If I put it on the floor to attack the rim and I get a layup and some free throws, but a couple of assists, that doesn't look selfish to college coaches. It looks great. So again, please don't be timid. You're out there on the court with limited time. You can't afford it. You have to be aggressive at all times. Play within yourself. I'm not saying drive into traffic and throw up an unmakeable shot that doesn't even draw the rim. That won't help you either. Play within yourself. Take what the defense gives you, but if you catch the ball at the end of a reversal and there's a long closeout coming at you, by all means, don't hold the ball, wait to feed the post, throw it back where it came from. Be looking to attack. Be looking to be aggressive. Be looking to shoot if you're open, because if you have limited opportunities, it's critically important that you make the most of it. Now, there are some other options as well, and I think that parents are well within their rights if they're writing fairly large checks to AAU coaches to go sit down with the coach and explain to them, you know, coach, I know that you're out there trying to win games, and you obviously don't think that my son is quite good enough to help you win games the way you're trying to do. That having been said, coach, I gave you a pretty large check. And the reason I gave you that check primarily was so that my son would have an opportunity to be recruited by college coaches. Now, you might not have guaranteed me that he was going to get playing time, but you certainly didn't tell me that he wasn't going to hardly play at all. And I wrote the check, and I expect some return on this investment, and I would really appreciate it if you could raise his minutes. That might work, it might not, but certainly as someone who wrote a check, it's well within your rights to at least have that discussion. And if where your son goes to college and whether or not your son plays basketball is important, you need to do everything you can to make sure that happens. And that absolutely includes having a candid conversation with your AAU coach. Don't be that parent that complains at home and complains to everybody in the crowd about how the AAU coach is shafting your son and not giving your son an opportunity, but then you're too afraid to go have an in-person conversation with that AAU coach to voice your opinion and see if it can make a change. You might be surprised. A lot of times, simply by asking, you'll wind up bettering the situation for your son. Now, the second thing you can do, and this really only applies to parents who are writing checks that are covering their son and other people's children too. If you're one of the program sponsors writing a particularly large check, you have the right to not ask for more playing time. You have the right to demand it, because the simple fact of the matter is you're making that program possible. You're not only helping a lot of kids, you're not only helping that particular coach, but it's reasonable for you to expect, in addition to helping all those other people, that your son be helped as well. So if you go to the AAU coach from a position of you're the guy underwriting the team, that's a position of strength. I guarantee if you point out, coach, I'm writing checks for my son and these 3 or 4 other players, I'm paying your travel costs, and yet my son's only getting 6 or 7 minutes a night. Now, I realize you're trying to win, coach, but because the team's not even possible without my checkbook, I'm going to have to insist that you raise my son's playing time. Again, if you're writing the check to underwrite the team, you're bargaining from a position of strength. I guarantee if you let that AAU coach know, coach, oh, by the way, we're going to switch teams, or we're going to start our own team if things don't change, the coach's ears are going to perk up, because it's not a huge group of parents who can afford to write checks large enough to basically fund entire programs. And I've seen multiple parents writing large checks to fund entire programs who sit back and watch their son sitting at the end of the bench getting no playing time. I don't think that makes sense. I think it's outstanding to give as many kids an opportunity as you're able to afford to give them. I just don't think it's unreasonable to also expect that your own child benefit from all the checks you're writing as well. So those are my thoughts on choosing an AAU team. I'm going to check my notes real quick to see if I forgot something. Sometimes I forget important pieces during these episodes. So let me just double check. Okay, we covered most of it. So again, just to review, make sure that you get with a team that's featured. If the team that will feature you is a high-profile team, you're in great shape. If it's not, you got to do your work early, be proactive, and reach out to college coaches and let them know you're available and let them know your schedule and invite them to come see you play. If you're on the wrong team and you can't do anything about it, you need to be aggressive when you're out there, be assertive but not selfish. And if you're writing checks as a parent to join a team, you have the right to have a candid conversation with an AAU coach and let them know that you feel like, given the check you wrote, that your son deserves a little bit more playing time. So that's about it for now. If you have any questions, it's Coach Pete at academicrecruits.com. And I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.